Hello, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How
That
are
is
you
so
doing,
good.
prayer?
I'm doing so good.
Where's the bobblehead?
Oh, doo, 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 doo. How's it going, man?
Good, man,
Whoa,
good.
my dog gonna knock this over. Sorry.
Oh no.
All right. So what's going on with you, man?
Life is busy, man.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Me too.
the tech life is busy. It's always either fighting fires or getting projects done and things in between, right?
Right.
And uh, and sometimes the smallest things just take up so much time. Some user issue, and then you gotta spend so much time trying to research so you can
Yeah.
intelligently respond back with proper answers and stuff. And
Yep.
yeah,
I got this crazy problem right now where uh, the wireless DHCP scopes
okay.
are filling up with bad addresses.
Oh,
Like just they keep coming and coming and coming, and we can't track down where they're coming from. Like even doing a wire capture on all the associated interfaces, it's not showing up. And so the last layer is there something wrong with the DHCP server? So
okay.
I'm gonna have to open up a case with Microsoft because this I have exhausted everything
Oh,
on this
wow.
one. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they say about it.
Oh,
But
cool, cool.
that's taking up a lot of my time. But
That's what we do, man. That's why
yeah,
we're here.
yeah. So Microsoft Teams,
Teams.
what do you think about that?
You know, I I haven't really got into it as much, but it sounds pretty exciting. I kind of took a look at it, and had a little feel for it,
Yeah,
and it's definitely a much more robust and much more polished than the Slack equivalent, right?
right.
Which everybody's been using. There's a free version for it and stuff like that. So, um, I think Teams is good. It's definitely more for the enterprise,
Hmm.
right? It's more for work and chat and integrates with files and you know office and I guess emails and
Yeah.
just about everything that you can.
Like you, I only just took a peek at it. I
uh,
activated it on our tenant and I made a team and just to see what's there. And it's like, okay, this looks a lot like Slack. And of course, this is their response to that because it's been
right.
gaining traction, of course. So we'll see, how they compete. We'll see some innovation probably now in that area.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely, I'm looking forward to actively using it
Yeah.
more. One thing that, our friend Larry in the crew sent a great article over to the crew WhatsApp about some questions and answers about Teams, and one of them is like, is there going to be a consumer version? And the answer is no. We are focusing on enterprise,
On enterprise, right.
and so that's going and the statement was something like we have X number million Office 365 customers. We want to build this for them, the Office 365 business users and stuff like that.
Right.
So we'll
Right.
see. We'll see how it goes. The
Yeah.
interface is definitely very nicely polished.
Yeah.
Where I don't have anything against Slack. I'm on it daily,
Yeah, I use
and
Slack all the time too.
but
So
you can tell like okay, this is although businesses use it, it's just kind of like a one size or one GUI fits all at the moment.
right.
So but it's some cool stuff.
Well, if
So
you're a Microsoft shop, to say, if you're using Microsoft products
mhm,
already in your organization, then this just kind of ties everything together.
right,
It
exactly.
makes sense instead of going off and either using Google or using Slack or using something else, and
Yep.
you're just using the same the
builds on top of what
resources. Yeah,
builds on top of what you're like. Do you integrate Active Directory with Slack? I don't know the answer to that. Here
yeah,
it's there. If you've integrated all that into Office 365, then you're
right,
building on top of your identity stuff already.
yeah.
So,
Well, and obviously they have bots too, just like Slack does, and so those are very useful to do a lot of automation and a lot of task-oriented stuff. Which is, you could say, hey, when an email comes in from this particular user or this particular subject, do this and put it into, a file share or something like that.
Yeah.
So you can do a
Speaking
lot
of
of things.
speaking of bots, we were talking offline about Microsoft Flow and if this then that, which
Yes,
man, this stuff is so cool
it's amazing, these
because
things.
I'm not a programmer at all, and to be able to very easily do things that previously you had to have code for, and this is all GUI based, I'm blown away. Like I built a flow that if a email came in with a specific subject, that email would get posted to a Slack channel. And so if
Oh,
people were monitoring this channel, like let's call it network alerts or something like that, they would see, all right, these are the messages that came in that had this subject. Do we need to address it?
right.
And we can then talk about it in the channel. And so I'm like, oh, wow, I just did this. This is so cool. And I've looked at if then this, then
If
that,
this, then that, right.
but I haven't done anything with it yet. But I'm going to
Yeah,
because I got some Alexa and home automation stuff that I just onboarded.
that is
So
cool.
that's a later topic at another
Yeah, I've
episode.
been using if this then that, for my Instagram and for my some of my Twitter stuff, and it's really awesome.
Yeah.
So for Instagram, in the past when you post something from it, a picture from Instagram, and you say, send it to Facebook and Twitter and this and this and this, but when you send it to Twitter, it actually strips out the picture. It just posts a link,
Oh wow.
right? That was a thing that they had going on between, obviously it's Twitter and Instagram is Facebook and stuff like that. So through if this then that, um, whenever it's posted, it actually, captures the image and posts the link, and it's just nice and tidy. So I've been using that, for a while, and also like some, Twitter automations and stuff like that. Some from my RSS feeds, and you know, yeah,
So
it's awesome.
with if then this, oh my gosh, I don't know why I can't. If then if
If this, then that.
thank you. Can you do crazy stuff like, okay, if you see the hashtag Masala IT, then turn my Philips Hue light bulb red so that I know I
I
need.
won't be surprised. I think you can do that.
That's just
That's
crazy. Man,
there's already a ton of recipes out there, and then which you can also go and customize them, but you can also create your own.
wow.
Um,
So can you do
it's just
stuff like, can you do stuff to make things go off on your phone as well? Like an alert or text message and stuff like that?
yes, I believe you can. Yes.
That's crazy. So wouldn't it be
Yeah.
cool if you could tweet and then with that tweet your car starts?
Ooh,
I'm just saying. I'm
ooh,
taking
have
it
to
to
try that.
another
Yeah,
level. That's
yeah.
scary too. But
Well,
yeah,
well, some of the Slack channels, some Slack teams. That I follow and stuff, especially this one with the crew and all that. Um, there's an if this then that when a particular hashtag is used and then it goes into a specific channel in
hmm.
that team, or if the ad you know handle or whatever is mentioned, then it goes into. So it's you can do all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild.
So
So Flow is obviously it's a Microsoft equivalent of that, which does awesome stuff as well.
right.
So these are great things. I mean, we are actually moving into a really crazy uncharted technology territories. This is unheard of stuff. Like in the last year or two. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like, yeah,
That's
the
why.
possibilities are just endless now.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
why last week when we were talking about, we just maybe need to take a breath and say, okay, are we doing this securely?
Yeah.
Let's make sure we do that because we don't want an if then this. Oh my goodness, why can't I do it? IFTT recipe that some hacker is able to get into to like unlock your house or
Right.
something insane like that. Or like as a joke, we're saying to start your car, but imagine if someone is able to manipulate Twitter to get into your if wow, I'm not even going to try anymore, into your recipe. Wow, what is wrong with me? That is crazy.
That
If
is.
then, no,
You know
if
why?
this, then that. Okay. If then this. No, that's not right.
If
Whatever.
this, if this, then do that.
Got it. If this, then do that.
Right.
Next topic.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah, you were going to talk about stuff that you actually work with all the time.
yeah, and so, on top of all the Microsoft stuff that I do a lot with network infrastructure, specifically Cisco. So, a couple years ago, I decided to study hard and get my CCNP, which is a Cisco Certified Networking Professional. So that was, hard. It wasn't easy.
Ooh,
But this stuff
yeah.
is, it's when you're into it that deep, it's serious stuff. I don't think I'll ever go for a CCIE. That is hard. But I like the level I am at now. But as part of the show, we don't want to just talk all Microsoft all the time because there's other
Sure.
things out there. So I'm just going to give a brief, not a brief, but a very high level overview of Cisco Wireless, and just what's out there. Because maybe if you're Microsoft admins, you may not necessarily know how this stuff works, or what is available to you. So, we see access points everywhere at this point,
Mm-hmm.
in malls, at home. I'm sure you have one and stuff like that. But when you scale out into enterprise level, you don't go to each access point and configure it with an SSID and IP address, and then you go to the
Right.
next one and do that same thing. With Cisco, you have something called lightweight access points, which all they do is they boot up and they get on the network. And then either through DNS or through a DHCP vendor string, it looks for a wireless controller. And that's all it does. And then once it's able to talk to a wireless controller, the controller is where you actually configure the SSIDs, simple access policies, and like your WPA keys and all that
Okay.
kind of stuff. My dog is very interested in this conversation, um, and so that is what you do on an enterprise class rollout, and not just Cisco, but HP and Ruckus and all these other enterprise class wireless, they do this something similar. I'm going to talk about Cisco. So Cisco has different size controllers depending on um, how many access points you have and how many users you have. So if you have, like 5 users, and you want to have a controller-based rollout, you can do that. Some of them
Okay.
are even built into small um, routers, which are called ISRs, integrated services routers, where it's going to do voice, wireless, firewall, and all this stuff kind of built into one. So that's obviously for small business kind of things. And then it scales up to like thousands of access points
Oh wow.
and thousands of users. And these are server class controllers. They're actually built on server hardware made by Cisco. And then you can also get virtualized controllers as well. And so you have this essentially dumb access point that boots up, looks for the controller. The
Mm-hmm.
controller says, okay, here's the config that I'm sending to you. And so within the controller, you create different groups. So you might say, all right, this is building A, or this is floor one, and you only want this particular SSID broadcast to that floor. So you make a group, assign the access points to it, they boot up, and they're done. You're now able to provide, very high level overview. You're now
Yeah.
providing wireless to those
Wireless.
customers. And also the controller will say, okay, you know what? I see this other controller and it has a really hot radio. I'm going to tune both of these radios down because they're interfering with one another. And so what the controller is going to do is something called radio resource management, or RRM. And so what it does is it will tune the radios so they are operating in a very efficient manner. So
Oh.
if you're in a very high, for example, in schools, you might have an access point in every classroom. So that's potentially a humongous amount of noise, especially if you're in the 2.4 gigahertz range where you only have 3 channels available to you. It will actually manage all of that so that there is little interference between all the devices, and you can roam properly, you can join properly, so you can walk from one part of the building to the other, and the user may not ever know that they've been flipping from access point to access point to access point.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so that's what a controller does, and they've been doing a lot of updates on models lately, and so it's good to check out, talk to your reseller about that. Um, Another thing, and so that's the basic thing, and maybe a lot of admins they all like, okay, I get it. We have controllers, I understand how they work. There's more to that on the Cisco side. In addition to the controllers, you can get something called a mobility services engine, and what that does is that it gives you analytics to tell you what users are actually doing with the wireless. And this becomes really cool because you can, with an it's called the acronym is an MSC. You can say, okay, when you walk into a building, if you've configured all this stuff, and I'm going to join the Wi-Fi. It joins the Wi-Fi. It can then pop up a web page and say,
Oh yeah, yeah.
welcome to ABC High School. If you're going to the basketball game, you're currently in the lobby, take a left and then go down the hallway. Or if you're here for the ice cream social, the cafeteria is, you want to go right and all the way to the end of the hall. So
Wow, that's cool.
yep, so it's actually able to detect the location and triangulate you pretty well, and then give analytics or provide services based on location. And so
Hmm.
if you don't do any of that, another thing you can do is in an environment, you can say, okay, within a certain amount of time or a time range, how many wireless users came into this area? Or if you look at the whole day, how come all the wireless users are always in this part of the building? What's going on over there?
Right.
Things like that. And with an MSC, you can also add RFID tagged objects. And so you can start tracking them, and you can even create alerts that, okay, once it leaves a zone, fire off an email or a text message saying this thing left the building. And so,
Wow.
yep. So the controller, it controls the access points, it manages them. The MSC provides analytics to you, and then you can build applications that will talk to the MSC that will provide you with all this data, or you can buy applications that already do it for you. So that's the MSC, and then on top of another product on top of all this is something called the Identity Services Engine. And this thing is wild because what that does is it actually secures your entire environment. And so what it will do is say, okay, Prayer has walked into ABC High School. He is on an iPhone and he authenticated to the network. And so I'm going to put him on this SSID and then this subnet. And then because of all this information, what the ICE can do and say, okay, because he is on this iPhone that I don't recognize, he doesn't have access to the file servers, this file server subnet. He can only get out to the internet. So what if you don't have an ICE? What most people will do is they'll create a WLAN for corporate devices, and another with on a subnet that only has access to you know
Public.
yeah, no, I'm sorry, non like a public SSID, and that's
Right.
just to the internet. And then another SSID for corporate stuff, and then another
Mm.
SSID for employees that bring their own devices. And so you start adding all these SSIDs and things like that. And there is a best practices like that. You have to keep the number of SSIDs broadcast off an access point to a minimum, because then you'd reduce the efficiency of the network. Um, and so what the ICE does is help you manage all that stuff and secure it. And so if somebody comes on board with a iPhone 4 that hasn't been updated, it will say, sorry, this thing is not to our spec. I'm
Not
not going to let you
compliant
on,
and
or I'm
right.
going to limit you to, the email website, or, Facebook or something like that.
Hmm.
And so that's what the ICE does. It provides this whole level of a whole level of security on top of this, and it also secures your wired assets as well. So not just wireless.
Nice.
I forgot to mention another thing that the MSC can do is for all the Cisco access points that have a technology called clean air. What it will do is it will help you isolate devices that are creating noise. So if somebody has a wireless phone, it will say, hey, there's this wireless phone here, and then actually identify it for you on the map, and say, there's a wireless phone there because that's interfering with your network. There's a microwave oven that's interfering and then it'll tell you where it is and stuff like that. And because everybody's like, oh yeah, I don't have all this stuff. Well, then why am I seeing it? So that's another thing that the
Wow, that's
MSC can do.
awesome.
Yep. Oh, folks with phones that are acting as hotspots, and they insist that, oh no, I don't have it on. See, it's not on. Well, you had it on over there, and then I can see that you turned it off. And so it gets very, very. So there's this whole
Holy
level of
cow.
wireless that you can do. So of course, with all this stuff, you have to buy the hardware, obviously. Then you have to buy the licenses and get it installed and keep it up to date. And so it's a lot of work. And that's why a lot of our corporate customers will just have Cisco partners just kind of manage this stuff for them if
Hmm.
they don't have somebody in house. But a few years ago, Cisco bought a company called Meraki,
Oh
which
yeah.
has cloud-based access points, and they brought that into their portfolio, and it's impressive how it has grown. And what our customers love about Meraki is that they're like, before I was really scared because I didn't know how to change SSID passwords, and that's what they call it, and things like that. But now I just go in and over the web and it's done, and like I feel like my network is so much secure that way. But what the beauty of the Meraki is, like, you're not installing on-premise controllers, you're not installing an on-premise MSC and ICE. You're not having to update access points because all this is done through their cloud offering. And so what you
Okay.
do is when you buy the access point, you actually purchase a subscription to it. So 1, 3, 5 years, whatever you're going to do. And as long as you have that subscription, it's going to get updates. You're going to have access to the portal. Even if something were to happen where, your internet access got cut off, you would still have that the access point would still stay up, and you can still get access to your corporate
Hmm.
network assets and things like that. So that's the Meraki side, and it is definitely enterprise ready. It's been like that for a while, and so for the folks that are like, oh, I just don't have the in-house staff to manage all this stuff, then that is a beautiful way to bring
Right.
very high level quality wireless into
Right.
onto the network.
And all of this stuff is not cheap either, right?
No, for
Right.
schools, of course, you get significant discounts.
Discounts, right?
And a lot of schools will, finance this stuff through bond acts that have to be approved by the state
True.
and stuff like that, and, I don't know about you, but it seems for like corporate customers that it's just like, yeah, let's just get it. And so they realize the need for it and they somehow budget for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it just happens. So yeah, so that's just an introduction to some Cisco wireless stuff. Very high
That's
level overview.
that's great. Actually, I've learned a lot too.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, when I go to my kids' high school, and they have the public and the staff, Wi-Fi, and it's almost like it's the way it's named. So you may hit one or the other, and then you're like, okay, why can't I access anything? Stuff like that. And or if you hit the public one, and you're sitting there in the auditorium waiting for the drama to start or something like that, or waiting for the game to start, and you can't access Facebook and things like that because they have it blocked, and
Yep.
you know, and it's like if you're gonna make this public, then why am I getting blocked? And I get it because then the kids will use it too,
Hmm.
right? So
And that's
yeah,
the
I just turn
beauty.
it off. I just use my data.
Got
That's
it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the beauty of another thing about ICE is like you can say, okay, after 6 o'clock, allow access to
whatever.
whatever,
Yeah.
and it's all done automatically. And so it's not like there's somebody there. Oh, okay, now I'm going to turn it on. It's just
Right.
automated. So maybe we
Yeah.
can, yeah, maybe you can create like an if then this that recipe for your admin at the school. So like, hey, enable Facebook so he can just do this, and then it
Right.
happens.
Because Harjit's in the building now. It triggered the if this then that alerted the admin. Right. Sent a
Yeah.
Twitter a text message and oh shit, Harjit's in the house.
Yep.
That's
Oh.
he needs his Twitter. He needs his Facebook. He needs his social media.
Oh. Oh no. So do you bring a a bag with you if you can't get to Twitter at school, so you can hyperventilate into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh my God. Yeah. So now, yeah, this is good stuff.
Cool.
Great. I hope people have, our listeners and our viewers, and have. It's very educational, actually. So
I'm glad. I'd like to
yeah,
hear feedback. Nobody ever provides feedback to us.
I know, right?
So,
So yeah, put feedback down below. Comments and stuff like that, and or tag us. Masala IT
yeah,
hashtag.
absolutely.
Right. Love
So
that hashtag.
I saw you carrying some stuff
Yes.
down with you.
So, we always talk about food in the end, right? So that's and I think we're making an impact, extending our Indian heritage and cuisine and stuff like that. So, anyways, to help our viewers who are not, great with cooking from scratch and stuff. So here's a box that says, what's it, chicken? It's a biryani masala mix.
Nice.
And it walks you through. It's got all the spices and everything already. You cook your rice, you cook your meat, and you put this mix in and let it do its thing. And there's directions and stuff like that at the back here.
Awesome.
And you're good to go, man. It's freaking awesome. So that's one. And then we talked about, I think in our past shows we talked about curry powder and things like that, right? And we said that there's all sorts of different ones, right? So there's one here called Madras curry. Can you see it?
Yep. Curry powder.
Madras curry powder, right? And it's only $2.99. But yeah, so this one's a bit more spicier. It's obviously when you go to an Indian restaurant and you order the Madras curry, it's always like a little spicier, right? A little hotter, right?
But tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. It's like a slow spice, and so when you first eat it, you're like, oh wow, that tastes really good. Oh, wait a minute, that's really spicy. Like you don't, even if you were to put that on your finger and taste it, like, oh, this is nothing. Oh no, it's something. It takes a little bit for your senses to recognize, and I don't know how that works, but
I don't know how it works, yeah,
cool.
but it does. So yeah, so that's what a curry powder looks like, right? And then there's this kind of stuff that you can find in your local, Asian stores. There's this brand called Parampara, and then there are other brands too. But what is really cool about this? There's a little packet inside. Right?
Okay.
It's got the oils, it's got the onions, it's got the garlic, it's got the everything that you would actually do by scratch. It's all in here, like it's what do you call it? Concentrated.
Okay.
Okay. So all you need to do is, it tells you back here, get your chicken and whatever, and add so much water and put it in a pot, and you're done.
Okay.
You just have to cook your rice separately, and you're done. Right.
Got it.
So put your chicken. Take this thing out. You don't have to add oil. Don't have to add salt. Don't have to add. I mean, you can add salt to taste, but you don't have to add spices. You don't have to add curry. You don't have to add, because it's all included in this.
Got it.
So this is how some of us Indians do it, because time is, important. Time is hard to come by these days. So you got to do that.
This is like the equivalent of like the Ilios pizza thing. Like, all right, I don't want to go to the pizza place to get the pizza, so let me just go to the freezer and pop the thing in.
Right, right.
This is like, it's just a comparison, way better quality.
Right. And then, then there are other kinds like that, kurma, curry paste, and things like that. Same thing. There's a brand by a company called Suki. Yeah, it's simple.
Cool.
Simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken, whatever, pork, beef, vegetables, and throw this in with, whatever, how much water they want you to put in, and you're done. And and then we talked about curry powder. I mean, here's a different one. It's called meat curry, and this one's from Malaysia. Actually, my mom had brought this for me from Malaysia.
Okay.
And So more of the Southeast Asian kind of blends.
Cool.
But yeah, that's you don't have, it's not complicated. It's not difficult.
Nope.
You know. Um,
That's a good, especially the biryani mix.
oh,
Once you do that, it'll give you confidence. Like, okay, let me try something else with the biryani instead. Because
yeah,
yes, it's the mix, but you'll realize like, you know what? I can use this mix with other things, and it may not be biryani, because
yeah,
it's just like the base set of spices and oils that you need to get
right.
going, and then you can go from there.
Well,
So,
last year, I'm involved with the exchange student organization.
mhm.
I'm a volunteer and stuff. So last year, we had a girl from Pakistan. I think she was about 16 years old or something like that. Really nice girl. She didn't live too far from my place, and I would help her out with uh, some Hindi movies and songs and CDs, things like that. Invited her to come over to my place, hang out with my family and stuff. And I said, hey, you know, can you cook some biryani and stuff? She says, oh yeah, 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 okay, whatever. So we
Wow,
go to the store and stuff like that, and she comes home, and she uses this,
no way.
right? Yeah,
That's
and that's
awesome.
exactly what she did. And she said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I need this," and she used, I think it was like, I think there's 2 packets in here, and popped it open, and she did her onions and her whatever, and it came out awesome. I was like, a 16-year-old could do this,
That's cool.
you know, and
That's
and
really
she
cool.
and she doesn't really cook, you
That's
know.
amazing.
She followed the directions and she did it. It was great.
That's cool.
So, anyways,
Oh, I love biryani. Now I'm hungry.
I know, right?
I
Hit an Indian place tomorrow.
think that may have to happen. Get some of that ghost naan again. That
Oh,
that
yeah.
that was good stuff.
Yeah,
Anyway,
ghost none. Anyways,
well,
so I think yeah, we covered a lot. So until next time,
yeah.
I'm I'm Harjit, and you'll find me on Twitter as at Hooch, Hoorge.
And my name is Prayer. You can find me on Twitter at itprayer. And this is Henrietta. You will not find her on Twitter.
Meow.
It's a strange cat.
Yeah,
I think she's bipolar or something.
yeah. Give us
Anyway,
some feedback, folks. Uh, let us know what you guys like us to talk about next time, and how we're doing.
yeah,
So,
awesome.
all right.
Thanks,
Until next
y'all.
time. Cheers.
Cheers.